Hi, I'm Ekta Singh. I live here in Hyderabad city. I'm married and I have a 6-year-old daughter. My association and introduction to Dr. Kiran happened in 2016. This was when I was, having severe backache, back problem, and I have a little bit of history, right? So, history in the sense I lived in the US for about 10 to 11 years, and I met with an accident while I was living there. And had a spinal surgery, and in that time they fused my disc. So I was going all right, and until of course a few years, many years later I would probably say, when my back problem started again. And I was actually traveling back from one of my business trips from Paris, and I had massive pain in my back to a point where I couldn't feel one of my legs at all. And I was in Abu Dhabi. I remember messaging Dr. Sunil Dachapalli in Yashoda. He's a friend of ours, and asking who I should consult. By the time I landed in Hyderabad, he had an appointment ready with Dr. Kiran. I went, met with him. What I really liked about my first meeting with Dr. Kiran was he wasn't the aggressive surgeons that typically, I have met in the past, the ortho surgeons I've met in the past, who just look at my problem and say, oh yeah, you need a surgery. He went with a very, progressive approach. He said, let's look at this, then we'll look at. So first he sort of put me on a traction. We did a couple of tests, and then, he diagnosed and said, let's do some spine injections. So I had some spinal injections done. And he said, you will last about a year, which was good news for me. Again, in my line of work, I head HR for one of the IT companies here in Hyderabad, and I travel quite a lot. So as part of my job, it does my physical self takes a toll. Now fast forward, I did really well for almost a year. March again of 2017 is when I was managing my pain. I mean, I was on some medication. I had muscle relaxants that Dr. Kiran had given. And that's when the second attack sort of happened, which was I wasn't able to again, feel my legs at all. I was in the office working, and at the end of the day, my colleagues said, let's go. And that's when I realized that, by the way, I couldn't feel. So long story short, we went to Yashoda Hospital, back to Dr. Kiran. And this time he said, let's do a MRI and a CT scan because of the pain, the numbness that sort of came back. And then, of course, the diagnosis was concrete. He said, you have, arthritis in the spine, which initially was very scary, but then he explained that it's all right. It's a rare condition, especially for women in your age group. But he assured me that the reconstruction of the spine, the surgery he would do would be all right. What I liked is that he spent time with me and my husband explaining the whole process to us, and my husband was more nervous than me. He had so many questions, but Dr. Kiran sat down with patience and sort of walked us through. And I had my surgery, the rehab, everything. He stood by and kind of helped through. I had my roller coaster of challenges, issues that I went through. Wasn't an easy task for me to ask for help. And after surgery, I started second guessing and doubting, because there was, the pain had not reduced. I don't know, I thought in my head it was a switch, you just snap and everything would go all right. But then today, it's really good. It's been a year and a half. I have had a major improvement in my lifestyle. I'm able to not only travel, I also am able to bend down, pick up a few things. I also play with my daughter. Sometimes I can even carry her like a sack on my back, which I could never do in the past. So I am able to do. I know Dr. Kiran is wondering and saying, no, don't do that. But I'm able to do all of that. I like the fact that, Dr. Kiran is not aggressive with his, surgery approaches. I also like the fact that he sits down and explains. In India, it's difficult to find a doctor that will explain to you what the implications will be, the positives and the not so positives. So all in all, I have really believed that he's given me my version 2.0, and I'm absolutely thrilled that I met Dr. Kiran. Thank you so very much. I am absolutely indebted to you for the physical self of myself. Thank you so much, Dr. Kiran.